My name is Eleanor Blackwood. I am 29 years old, and I live in a house that no longer feels like mine. I rise each morning in a bed I once shared with William, my first husband, the man I loved. He has been gone for 7 months, and yet I still wake on my side of the mattress, careful not to disturb the space where he used to sleep. The room is heavy with his absence. The morning sun slips through the curtain, lace in thin, golden lines, touching the rug he chose, the small wooden chair where he used to read, and the edges of the photograph. We never hung. I have not moved these things. No one has asked me to, but I can feel the weight of their silence pressing in. Downstairs I pour 2 cups of tea. One is for me and the other sits by the window, untouched. It is not William's cup. His was broken on the day of the funeral. No, this one belongs to Henry, William's younger brother, my second husband. Yes, I married him. No, I did not want to. 6 weeks after the funeral, the vicar began to call. He was kind but firm. The house could not remain with a widow, they said. A woman alone in a home like this, with no children, would draw gossip, scandal, and weakness. And so I married Henry, in the same drawing room, in the same black lace. The vows were different, but the weight was heavier. Henry is a decent man. He speaks gently and does not touch me unless I ask, but we do not speak of William. Not in the morning, not at dinner, not ever. Today Henry leaves early for the estate meeting. He pauses in the doorway and asks if I need anything from the village, and I tell him no. After he's gone, I sit alone at the table and lift my teacup. It is warm, but fading. The other cup remains untouched. It has already gone cold, like everything else in this house. I rinse the teacups in the kitchen basin, one by one. The water is lukewarm, and I don't bother to heat it, as the silence of the house stretches long between each sound, a drip from the faucet, a creak in the beams above, the soft grind of porcelain against porcelain. Then I dry my hands and reach for my gloves. It is market day. I step outside, and the wind catches my veil before I can fix it. A flicker of lace in the light, like something trying to escape me, and I pull it down quickly and begin the walk into town. The gravel path crunches beneath my boots. Each step feels heavier than it should, as though the earth remembers what I lost more clearly than I do. In the village, nothing has changed. Children dart between the stalls. Old men argue over bread, and 2 women stand near the seamstress's shop and lower their voices the moment I pass. They do not stop talking, but I know my name is somewhere in their mouths. They say Mrs. Blackwood still, but no longer with warmth. When William was alive, they said it with affection, with envy even, but now it feels like a label, not a name, but a caution. I nod to the butcher's wife, who hesitates before nodding back. A year ago she asked me for a recipe, but now she studies the hem of my morning dress as if it's become too long for the season. At the flower stall I hesitate. There are white lilies, soft and fragrant, just as William once brought me when I was ill, but I cannot bring myself to touch them. Instead, I ask for onions and eggs, nothing sentimental, nothing beautiful, only what is required. The grocer smiles politely and says, "Mrs. Blackwood?" then hesitates. "Or is it?" but he leaves the rest of the question unfinished. I say nothing. I walk home the long way, through the churchyard, where the leaves scatter across the path like a hush that's been broken. I stop before William's grave, though I don't kneel. I never do now. Instead, I stand still. I imagine what he would think of the woman I've become, of the vows I was made to speak, of the silence I now live inside. But he does not answer. The wind moves the branches. The bell in the chapel tower rings noon, and I walk on. By the time I return home, Henry's boots are by the door, neatly placed, just as William's used to be, but not quite the same. The leather is newer, the shine more polished, the toes unscuffed. They do not carry the memory of muddy walks or rushed mornings, only quiet waiting. I leave the basket in the kitchen and go upstairs without a word. The bedroom is unchanged. Sunlight still rests along the seam of the curtains, and the air still carries the faint trace of lavender from the linen drawer. It is strange how memory can linger in fabric longer than it does in people. I sit at the dressing table and do not remove my gloves. A moment later, I hear Henry's footsteps on the stairs, slower than William's ever were. He pauses just outside the door, as he always does, and knocks softly. "May I come in?" he asks. "Yes," I reply, without turning. He steps inside, and I see him in the mirror, a tall man with kind eyes and the shadow of someone he never meant to replace. "I picked up the fabric you asked for," he says, holding out the small parcel. "Thank you," I say. A pause follows, not long, but not short enough to ignore. "I saw Ruth Ashford in the village," he adds, like a man searching for safe ground. "She asked after you." I nod again. "Did you answer her?" I ask. He doesn't, not right away. Then, quietly, he says, "I said you were well." I look at him through the mirror. He is standing with his hands behind his back, as if unsure what he's allowed to do in this room. A room he sleeps in but never enters fully. We live together like polite strangers. We eat together, walk together, but we never share the weight of what brought us here. I turn to face him. "Henry," I say gently, "you don't need to pretend." His eyes lift to mine. He doesn't flinch. "I'm not pretending," he says. "I'm only waiting." For what? For you to stop disappearing when you're right in front of me. The room is silent. Outside, a branch taps against the window. The kettle hisses faintly from the kitchen, and the day stretches thin around us. I want to answer. I want to say something kind or true or brave. But I only say, "I'm still learning how to stay." Henry nods, and then, without a word, he leaves the parcel on the table and quietly steps out. The house is quiet again, not heavy like in the morning, not yet, just still. I light a single lamp in the drawing room and settle into the corner of the settee, not William's chair and not Henry's either. a space in between. I take the parcel of fabric from the table and unwrap it slowly, careful not to tear the paper. It's a pale blue, soft, light, and nothing like morning black. I had asked for it weeks ago, without knowing why, and now, holding it in my lap, I feel the weight of what it means. Not escape, not betrayal, but change. Somewhere in this house, Henry is writing in the study. I can hear the gentle scratch of his pen, the familiar creak of his chair. He will not knock again tonight, as he knows when silence is what I need, and I am grateful. I rise and walk to the window. The moonlight lies quiet on the garden stones. The trees shift in the breeze, but do not break. There is something calming in their stillness, something that tells me not everything that bends is weak. My hand rests against the glass, and I try to remember the sound of William's voice. But memory is strange. Some days it sings clearly, like it's still in the room. Other days it fades at the edges, as though the mind itself is trying to let go. I do not know which is harder. Behind me, the fire cracks softly. The warmth reaches only partway across the room, but I do not move closer. I stay where I am, watching, breathing. When I turn back to the table, I fold the fabric into a drawer. Not hidden, just waiting. There will be a day, not tomorrow, perhaps not next month, but a day when I will take it out and ask Ruth to help me sew something new, a dress not meant for grief, a dress that fits who I am, not who I lost. And maybe, when I wear it, I will walk into the village without holding my breath. Maybe I will stop at the flower stall. Maybe I will even speak William's name out loud, and it won't feel like breaking something sacred. But not yet. Tonight, I blow out the lamp and carry the silence upstairs with me. I lie beside a man who does not ask for more than I can give, and for the first time in months, I sleep with both hands above the covers, not clutching the past, just resting in the quiet shape of what might come next.